Well, let's talk about war news for this week, November 24 to 29. The Russian occupying forces continue to launch missiles and bomb attacks throughout Ukraine. Many energy infrastructure facilities were damaged, so the Prime Minister of Reintegration of the temporarily occupied territories asked Ukrainians not to return from abroad until spring. The winter will be hard. The danger from Russia hasn't disappeared. The nuclear safety situation at the Zaporizhzhia nuclear power plant remains unstable. This week, German President Steinmeier visited Kyiv and has a big opportunity to feel like a Ukrainian for an hour and a half sitting in the shelter because Russia, completely without conscience, again released missiles and drones all over Ukraine. Well, there is nothing human about Russians. Ukraine initiates the investigation against Iran due to supply of weapons to Russia. And let me remind you that Israel has already provided the United States with evidences that Russia used Iranian drones. Russian Terrorist Federation prevents the operation of grain corridor. The line in the Bosphorus were more than 170 vessels. But even today, exported Ukrainian grain saved 100 million people from extremely poverty. Due to the resources foreign policy, the link under the video. Russian recruiting for the war against Ukraine, the members of elite Afghan commandos who were trained in the United States and Great Britain. Well, now you can look at these cute faces, and maybe you don't even know who they are. But they're exactly the one who coordinates and directed the rockets on Ukraine. Shopping center, residential buildings, killing our people, our children. Yep, one day you work in an IT company and then you go to Russian army for killing civilians in neighboring countries. This week on Thursday, terrorist Putin go out of his bunker with a speech. Among other things, he confirms the unchanging goals.
Не стесняются ничего. Взяли вот Сулеймани, убили иранского генерала. Можно как угодно относиться было к Сулеймани. Ну как угодно, но это официальное лицо другого государства. Убили на территории третьей страны. И сказать, да, мы убили. Что это такое вообще? Мы где живем?
To destroy Ukraine as a state and erase the concept of Ukrainian people. He stated that the only real guarantee of Ukrainian sovereignty can only be Russia, which creates Ukraine. Does it mean that he refuses that Russian Federation legally recognized Ukrainian sovereignty in 1991? Well, this nonsense of an old man is ridiculous to listen to, given the fact when Ukrainian people has existed for a long time, built cities, built trade links, Moscow even hasn't existed yet. There was a swamp. Putin also actually called himself a dictator, and I guess it's fair for that point. And please, let me quote. The absolute majority of countries now demand democracy in international affairs, not accepting any form of authoritarian dictate of individual states. Alluding to Russia, maybe? And what about the good news? The Senate of Poland adopted a resolution recognizing the regime in Russia as terrorist. And I guess that others should also follow in their example. The United States has decided to accelerate the deployment of modernized tactical nuclear weapons in Europe. At the same time, Poland has expressed its interest in nuclear weapons because Russia, attacking Ukraine, annulled the 1997 NATO-Russia Pact. More detailed information about some topics you can find by links under the video. And as we say in Ukraine, the enemy's rockets in our skies are not scarier than enemies anthem on our land. Glory to Ukraine, to our defenders and our partners that help us.